Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Profit Project interview series, where today we're going to be talking about all things Profit First and the implementation of Profit First. And today I'm really excited to have on the call with us the awesome Katie Crismale-Marshall from Profit First for Tradies, who is a fellow Profit First professional who will share her backstory, the challenges, the wins, and all those interesting things around Profit First. So welcome, Katie.
Thank you for having me, Craig.
Yeah, it's awesome to be just talking and getting to learn the backstory of people that have come across Profit First, and just hearing those stories. I love it, and that's what I love hearing when I talk about Profit First endlessly around the places. And so I guess I want to get straight into this, and I'm really curious. When you first started implementing Profit First yourself, what was your business and what did it look like back at that time?
Okay, so I started implementing Profit First the first time around. There was a few stops and starts for me back in 2014 when Mike first wrote the book. And at that stage, I had a bookkeeping business, which I loved because I was helping tradies sort out their numbers so they could understand where they were at and have a bit of, my goal was that they would have a better cash flow position. But what I was finding was I could have their bookkeeping up to date. I use Xero, and that was all good and well, but it actually wasn't translating into them understanding their cash flow better, even though they had all the numbers at their fingertips. So I read the book. I started implementing it in my own business first. And then somewhere along the line, work got busy, family got busy, and I put it down and stopped using it for a little while. And then I come to a point in my business where I wasn't really enjoying it so much, and I was looking for something else to provide my clients because I realized the bookkeeping wasn't cutting it for me. So prior to my business, I was a financial planner. So I've always had the goal in mind for my bookkeeping clients that they would be able to be really profitable and they would be able to plan for their retirement and everyone would be fabulous and wonderful and it will be great. And then I realized that bookkeeping alone is not going to do that for them. So then I picked Profit First back up again, reread the book, implemented it properly in my business, went, oh, this works for me. Let me see if it'll work for my tradies. I had my doubts simply because I think anything new, we tend to do that and think, oh, how can this work? Implemented it with one tradie, another tradie, and so on and so forth until now that's what I focus on is just Profit First, and everything else we obviously need to sort out the bookkeeping, but we also have to have that goal in mind. So the goal is always to implement Profit First in their business and make sure that they are actually profitable and taking their own wage and all those things that we that Profit First does for our clients.
Awesome. Cool. We'll delve into a few of those a little bit further on as well. But I love how those kind of like two little goes, the stop-start sort of component. But I want to even take that little step back before that as well. Do you remember how you actually came across the book in the first place?
Yes, I do. So my business coach at the time is always a mad reader. And every time we would session, he would be like, okay, these are the books that I've read or come across. You need to look at these. So he was a very, very early on adopter of Profit First. So that was how I came across it.
Yeah, cool. Very common thing that I know I'm hearing quite a lot of. It's coaches, education, and those sorts of things. So it's great to hear there's other professionals out there that love it and are recommending it as well. But yeah, it's really cool. So then when you read it, and you've already touched upon this a little bit, and it might even be when you read it and then reread it, the two different sort of times, is that what was the thing that really, I know I got a bit of a slap in the face, I think, when I read the first time and I went, oh, I thought I knew a little bit about money. I'm an accountant and those sorts of things. I'm curious yourself of that. Did you get a couple of aha moments and certain parts of it that made you go, oh, hang on a second, I've been looking at this a bit differently?
And what I found, particularly coming from a corporate financial planning background, where things can be made quite complicated, And I've always liked to kind of break them down and make them simple. And so when I read this, and Mike talks about it's like an envelope system that our grandparents or our great grandparents used to use, for me, I was like, it's that simple. Like, stop trying to overcomplicate it. It is that simple. So once I started to just follow the system, do it as Mike had stepped it out, and not overcomplicate it, it was much, much easier then. It's like, yeah, it wasn't the system or the process. It wasn't profit first that was the problem. It was myself, and my own, I guess, bad habits left over from the corporate world. So yeah, that was probably the most like eye-opening thing, that it didn't have to be complicated.
Yeah, awesome. Love that. That's again, you touch on all the things that I hear regularly, I know, but that's why this is so great to be able to share with people. Yeah, so true, so true. So the next one I'm curious around then is the whole, you said, when you started, there are a few little challenges as you're sort of getting up and running, and they stop-start nature. But I guess, yeah, what were some of these practicality challenges that you found when you did start implementing?
So for me, the simple thing was opening bank accounts. So Profit First obviously suggests a number of bank accounts, which I am a complete advocate for now. But at the time, I was like, oh, I'm not going into the bank. I don't have the time. You just find all these excuses to not be able to do it. And so that was kind of first time around. And then when I finally implemented it, I then sort of realized that I just Googled fee-free business banking accounts and found who popped up and went, okay, because I didn't want to pay fees on my account and I didn't want to go into a branch because I don't like to waste time. And at that stage, Bank West were the only one who had fee-free banking, and you could also open it up online. So I just went, okay, well, now I can do this. I had to, back then it was simple, I still had to be identified. I just took my paperwork to the post office and it was all done. So then once I had my bank accounts open, I was like, oh, okay, this is easy. But for quite some time, I just kept telling myself, I'm too busy, I can't go to the bank. I'm too and now I look back at that and just go, no, just silly excuses. But something that you and I both find that our clients will also say similar things. It's like, yep, we've been there. We know what that's like, but there's actually ways around it. We just have to think a little bit more about it, and we can get around some of those challenges.
Yeah, that's it. So much of it does just come back to the mindset, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
One of these ones of people just needing to take that step. And again, like you said, we've all been there, whether it's the opening the bank accounts, whether it's the truly committing to certain aspects of doing the allocations or whatever it is. And there is always those obstacles, but most of those obstacles are the mindset, which I always find interesting. And again, it's leveraging. I know I'm doing certain things right now where I need to go, I need to step back into using the human behavior and being conscious of the mindset things. It's fascinating to be able to do that. But I think you've already touched on where I wanted to go next, which is always some of the really cool parts I find is the outcomes and the benefits that I guess you've seen personally in your own implementation. Obviously, you fast forward now, well and truly got it embedded into your normal. It just becomes that human behavior, natural, the habits are there. But even, for yourself, I want to hear that side of it as well. But also, I guess, flowing on to the clients. What are the benefits? What are the outcomes that you're seeing and your clients are seeing?
For me at the start, again, coming back to that human behavior side, I had that mindset of it's going to take me longer, all those transfers, figuring out those percentages, and you just kind of throw up all of those roadblocks for yourself. But then once you realize that when it comes time, so for me, my business, I do my percentages weekly. That just works for me and my rhythm. But once I found that I can literally go in, look at my income, put it through my spreadsheet and do all my transfers in about 4 minutes flat. At the start, it would take me 45 minutes because I would think about it and I'd do it and I'd look And I had to realize that that's not the time for analyzing your numbers. That's just the time to process your allocations. So it should be very quick. What your income is, how that splits out to your percentages, and do the transfers. It's quite quick. So again, once that behavior changed, it became quite simple and much more efficient and easier to keep the habit of. So, now I don't even think about it. I just know on this time, on this day, I go straight in, it's done and dusted, and it's just done. And then the same with my clients. I always say to them, look, I always tell them that exact story. Like, this is what I did. Take my word for it and know that you don't have to waste 45 minutes a week to do your transfers. It actually will take you 5 minutes. That's all you need to do. And the amount of them that come back to me and say, oh, you're right, I was procrastinating, or I was, because sometimes at the beginning, the percentages and allocations show us our business in a different light that we may not have wanted to really look at before. And I know for me, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of, oh, we'll just, kind of ignore it, or I'll fix it next week type of thing. And just getting into that habit of those weekly allocations, keeping it short and sharp and moving through it made a huge difference. And again, when I was looking to use it with my clients and become certified, it was, and I had these same objections that I had with my own implementation. How is it going to work for tradies? Because that's who I specialize with. They won't be able to do it because, and I was coming up with all these excuses. And then I had to realize again, I'm like, no, don't fall back into those old behaviors. If it worked for me, it can work for them. And we have, Mike and everyone around the world who uses Profit First, there is thousands and thousands of all different businesses that use it quite successfully. Yet here I was already throwing up roadblocks for why it wouldn't work for my clients. It's like, actually, I still have more work to do. And then once you kind of move through that, it becomes much easier. Clients are able to pay themselves a wage every week, have money for GST, not be robbing Peter to pay Paul, affording to be able to go on holidays with their family now because they're putting their wages aside, and then they're able to, run their personal expenses much easier. I think probably the biggest one for me is families. The biggest feedback I get is that my wife and kids are much happier now because I know we know what money we've got, or we know I don't have to work 70 hours a week, and all those sorts of things. And for me, my parents had their own business from when I was 8 to 18, I think. So as a child of somebody who's self-employed, that is my ultimate goal, to make sure that the family have, the breadwinner, who is generally, in Tradies' instance, generally he is the breadwinner, to be able to have him home, or to be able to go on a holiday, or to be able to have him on a weekend, then that's the ultimate for me, when I can get my clients doing those sorts of things. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've touched on so many cool things as you've listed them off there. And again, as you and I have been doing this for a number of years now, it's we see that time and time and time again. And for one client, it's one of those. For another client, it might be all 4 of them.
That's right.
Yeah, there's obviously so many great things. But I guess then on the Profit Project here, we're always talking about profitability and cash flow. So trying to wrap all that into a couple of little bite-sized nuggets that obviously people can come back and listen to this and see it and hear all of them. But if you sort of narrow it down around profitability, cash flow, what sort of one tip that you might have in each space for people to really look at the profitability of their business and manage their cash flow?
I think my one tip is to just get started. Just take one step. Just do one thing. You don't have to look at the whole Profit First process and go, I can't do all of that. Just do one thing. And that could be just opening a bank account for GST. And then once you've done that, then you just do the next thing. Or if you're not sure about it, it's picking up the phone or sending an email to somebody like yourself and asking the question. just have to take one little step. You don't have to do it all right at the beginning, because most of us, that is far too overwhelming. So just do one little thing, and then another little thing, and just
So true.
keep on going.
That's a great one. I love that one, Katie. That's hitting the nail on the head. It's very similar to what I often say in those sorts of things. And obviously, Mike, at the early stage of the book, he talks about opening up that 1% into a profit account. And you're so true. For a lot of people, the number one worry that they've got is actually the tax side of things initially. So potentially opening up that one account and starting to get something aside into that. That's a great one. Time, it's just been flying, and you've already shared a whole heap of great little nuggets there, but something that I was also excited to get you on this call about, and you've touched on this a little bit. Obviously, you've got your awesome tradie community there. You believe in profit first so much, you've gone out and done something pretty cool, pretty crazy in my view some ways, and written a book for yourself. And this interview is sort of all coming off the back of as well, where I wanted you to be able to share with the world. What have you gone and put out there for the world to see?
Well, yes, I agree. It was a pretty crazy thing to do. So almost 12 months ago, actually, on the 9th of May, 12 months ago we were both at a mastermind with Mike himself, having lunch, chatting, and he happened to mention that in America there's some profit first professionals who have written a book on their specific niche. And he sort of casually suggested that I might be able to do that for tradies. So then, crazy, yes, that is what we have done. It's just, it actually releases on the 5th of May. It will be released. So what I have done is I have taken everything I do with my tradies. So Profit First is obviously the framework. And one thing that Mike encourages us is to adapt it to our clients and their situation. And so what I found, there were some differences to how Mike sets it out, particularly because he's American based and we're Australian based. So I put that all together into a nice, easy to read, short little book for my tradie clients.
And those who I wasn't on screen at the time, I'm in the background giving it these ones.
Yeah.
I'm so excited as a fellow profit first professional to see you produce that for obviously the local community and the tradies and the like. And yeah, super pumped to be getting my couple of copies very, very soon. I can't wait to delve into it, because it is one of the brilliant things, as you touched upon there. The brilliant thing about Profit First is it's a great framework, but obviously there's so much flexibility in that for different business types, different styles, different business structure setups. There's so many different ways that people can interpret it. And so, yeah, I love the fact that you've gone out there and created that great resource for the tradie community. And so, yes, as this video goes out, highly recommend checking out all tradie stuff and checking out that book if you're in the tradie space and you think you're going to get a whole lot of value out of it. I think you will. So go out and grab a copy. And so I guess, Katie, to round this little interview off, please share with the audience here, where can people find you? Where's a great place to find you and the resources and the book itself?
So my website, profitfirstfortradies.com, for anyone who is listening and is in the trade space. The book is on all the usual online bookstores, so Amazon, Booktopia, Barnes and Noble. So you can go to any of those and get those straight from there. It is also in Kindle version if you don't like the book version. But what my suggestion is with the book is that it is to be used and highlighted and post-it noted and corners turned over, and I wrote it so it's a step-by-step guide wherever you are in your business, and you can actually pick it up and go to different sections that will help you now and then put it back down, because again, I didn't want to overwhelm everybody, so you don't have to pick it up and read cover to cover. You can just do sections at a time. And as I said, I actually want to see my readers' books when they're all destroyed, really. I want to see them really well worn. I don't want to see new copies like this, because that means that it's been of no use. So for those who do buy a copy, make sure you highlight and everything you need to do, and then send me a photo, because I want to see them being used.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we'll include all those notes into the show notes down here as well, once this goes live, so that people can link through to those. And yes, I'd love to see those too. People give those versions with all dog-eared and highlighted, because then we know action is actually happening. So
Exactly.
Really appreciate your time today, Katie, coming on and joining us and sharing, your backstory around Profit First and the impact that it's had on you, your business, and where you're actually taking it in the future as well. So onwards and upwards from here as we spread this Profit First message on here on the Profit Project. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for having me.